Welcome back to State of the Union. I'm Dana Bash. There is now an empty seat on the highest court in the land. President Obama has promised to fill it, but who will he pick? Joining me now with insights into the president's thinking is David Axelrod, former senior advisor to President Obama, and our Supreme Court expert, Jeffrey Toobin, who has written several books about the court. David, let me start with you. What is happening right now inside the White House? You have been through this process with this president.
Well, first let us say that Aaron Sorkin could not have written this script better, dropping this right in the middle of a presidential campaign. But look, I think that they're going to want to move quickly because times that you don't want this to settle in. You want to move quickly, put a nominee in front of the Senate, obviously qualified, and let them explain for the next 11 months why they want to deprive the country of a Supreme Court justice at a time when there are a lot of critical cases.
So that's what you would advise the president. Put somebody forward who's obviously qualified. Don't go for broke. Don't go for somebody who's liberal to excite the base.
Well, there'll be those who will suggest that he should pick. I saw some names, Kamala Harris, the Attorney General of California, who's running for the Senate now, maybe Cory Booker.
But that's a bad idea.
Both splendid people. I'm sure they would be great justices. But why not pick someone who's already been confirmed by the court, who's on the bench, and who's clearly qualified and has been rendered as such by the Senate? Okay,
so Jeff, let's talk about some of those potential nominees. There is one who is currently sitting on the D.C. Circuit Court, Sri Srinivasan. He was confirmed just a couple years ago, 97-0. He's worked for President Obama, Solicitor General, and also under Bush. And there's a woman who is on the 8th Circuit Court, and her name is Jane Kelly. She's actually reportedly pretty close with the Republican Judiciary Chair, Chuck Grassley, because she's got Iowa roots. What do you think of those?
That's true, and I think those two are far and away the most likely nominees by President Obama, in part because they are young by Supreme Court standards. They're both Jane Kelly is I think 51, Sri Srinivasan is 48. Both have impeccable qualifications. They are serving federal judges on appellate courts, and most importantly, both were confirmed 97-0. And so the argument would be, what is it about the past 2 years that have made all these Republican senators suddenly decide that these people are not qualified to be on the Supreme Court?
Let me put to you what Senator Rubio told me earlier in the program when I asked him that question, because he voted for one of them. And I said that very thing, and he said, well, it's a completely different job. It should take more time and more scrutiny. Do you buy that as somebody who knows the court the way you do?
Well, the answer is the Supreme Court is a very political body, just as the U.S. Senate is. The reason the Republicans don't want to vote against a Kelly or a Srinivasan or any Obama nominee is not because they're not qualified, is because they're an Obama nominee. And, you know, this is the most consequential Supreme Court vacancy in a generation, because the court has 5 conservatives and 4 liberals. The opportunity to switch the balance on the court to 5 liberals and 4 conservatives, that's what this fight is about. It's not about the qualifications. It's not about, you know, what time of year it is. It's about switching the balance on the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. And David,
I was sort of interested when I heard you asked Senator Rubio about some of these potential candidates, and he said, well, I don't want to comment before a nomination. I want to reserve judgment. Well, what are you reserving judgment on if you're not going to confirm anyone? So I think he got kind of caught up in the switches there, but I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was just going to say, the president so far has sort of thought about history when he's making nominations, not only to women, but the first Latina on the Supreme Court. In your past conversations with him, is that something that is important to him and could be going forward?
Well, certainly he was aware of the history he made in appointing Justice Sotomayor, the first Hispanic and the first Latina on the Supreme Court. I think that it's not lost on him, I'm sure, what the balance of the court is, as Jeff just noted, and that this will shape judicial history for some time to come if he were able to put someone on the court. So I think that will really frame his thinking. And I think the candidate that he can that will create the starkest choice for the Senate in terms of their qualifications is the one he wants. The one who's most qualified is the one he's going to want to appoint.
David, thank you. Jeffrey Toobin, thank you so much to both of you for your insights.